Waitress helps drunk billionaire get home. 1 week later, she becomes the restaurant owner. What if the life you dreamed of was closer than you thought, but only if you dared to take a leap? Mia Harris was built from resilience. Her life of mosaic of small victories stitched together with stubborn will. The golden fork, a greasy spoon on the edge of Willow Creek, was her world. Its yellowed walls chipped 4 mica tables and flickering lights as familiar as the lines on her mother's face. She'd been waitressing there since she was 23 when Ellen Harris, her mother, was diagnosed with emphysema. At 16, Mia had quit school to help pay the bills. And now, at 32, her days were a blur of coffee refills, medical debts, and the ache of dreams deferred. Ellen was Mia's heart. Once a vibrant school teacher who'd read poetry, too. Her students, Ellen, now lived in a haze of oxygen tubes and whispered memories. Her medical bills were a relentless tide, swallowing Mia's tips, meager offerings from truckers and factory workers who tipped in coins, more often than bills. The diner's owner, Carl, was a phantom more interested in his fishing boat than the business. He hadn't raised Mia's wages in years, leaving her to stretch every dollar until it screamed. The diner's crew was her lifeline. Jenny A., with a voice like honey and a notebook full of half-finished songs, dreamed of Nashville, but stayed for her kid brother. Carla, 62, with a smoker's rasp and a glare that could stop a bar fight, had been at the Golden Fork longer than Mia. Pete the cook was a gentle giant slipping extra portions of meatloaf for Ellen, when Carl wasn't looking, were a makeshift family bound by late-night laughs and shared exhaustion. It was a Tuesday, the kind of night where the air felt heavy with unspoken warnings. Mia was scrubbing ketchup bottles, her mind on Ellen's latest hospital visit, another $2,000. She didn't have when the bell chimed. Oliver Hayes staggered in a walking contradiction. A $1,000 suit ruined by whiskey stains. Dark hair falling into bloodshot blue eyes. His handsome face twisted with entitlement. He collapsed into a booth, knocking over a sugar shaker and slurred, "Coffee black." Now Mia's lips pressed into a thin line. Drunks were part of the job, but this guy's arrogance made her skin crawl. She poured the coffee, sliding it across the table with a curt, "Here you go." He barely glanced at her, muttering about a deal gone to hell in traders and suits. Mia ignored him, her focus on the clock. But Oliver lingered, spilling coffee and rambling about contracts and betrayals. By 2:45 a.m., he was the last customer, and Mia's patience was gone. "Time to settle up," she said, dropping the check. He fumbled for his wallet, dropping a stack of hundreds. Mia's breath caught, but she didn't touch them. "Cab's coming," she said, already dialing. She wasn't letting this guy drive, no matter how rich he looked. When the cab arrived, she hauled him up, ignoring his slurred protests. "You'll thank me later," she muttered, guiding him outside. He mumbled something about her being one of the good ones before collapsing into the back seat as the cab vanished. Mia shook her head. Just another night in Willow Creek. Days later, Mia was drowning in the lunch rush. Ellen had coughed through the night. Each rasp a knife in Mia's chest. Sleep was a ghost, and the diner's chaos-filled drinks. Carl's complaints about low inventory felt like a personal vendetta. The bell chimed, and Mia looked up, expecting another regular. Instead, Oliver Hayes walked in. He was a different man. Suit, crisp hair, neat blue eyes, sharp with purpose. The diner's chatter faded as heads turned. Jenny whispered. "Whose trouble?" Mia muttered, wiping her hands on her apron. Oliver scanned the room, his gaze locking onto her. Mia Harris. His voice was smooth, practiced, like he was used to getting what he wanted. Mia's tone was wary, her arms crossed. He smiled a polished grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. I owe you an apology and an opportunity. Mia hesitated. She didn't trust men who looked like they'd never scrubbed a dish. But curiosity won out. She led him to a booth, ignoring Carla's raised eyebrow. You paid your tab, she said. We're done. This isn't about the tab. Oliver leaned forward, his voice low. I'm Oliver Hayes, CEO of Hayes Hospitality. We own restaurants, hotels, a few other ventures. That night I was a mess. Bad day. Too much whiskey. You didn't have to help me, but you did. You got me home safe. That's not something I take lightly. IA shifted, uneasy. It's my job. It's more than that. He said, I did some digging. You've been holding this place together for years. Despite Carl's neglect and your mother Lynn, right, you're carrying her too. Mia's guard shot up. How do you know about my mom? I make it my business to know. Oliver's tone was calm, but there was a weight to it. The golden fork is dying. Carl's checked out, and this place is bleeding money. I want to give it to you. Mia blinked, her mind blank. Give me what ownership? Full control. I'll cover the transfer. Clear the debts, give you a budget to rebuild. You're the right person to make this place shine. Her laugh was sharp, almost hysterical. You're out of your mind. Why would you do that? Oliver's smile faded, his eyes distant. I owe someone a second chance. And I see something in you, Mia. You're not just surviving, you're fighting. Let me give you a real shot, Mia. Head spun. It was insane. A fairy tale wrapped in red flags. In Willow Creek, offers like this came with strings, big ones. But the thought of owning the diner, of paying Ellen's bills, of building something lasting, was a siren song. She asked for time to think. Oliver handed her a sleek business card and left. That night, Mia sat by Ellen's bedside, watching her mother's shallow breaths. Ellen's hand, frail but warm, gripped hers. You're stronger than you know, baby, Ellen whispered. Mia thought about the diner. The years she'd poured into it, the weight of her mother's care. She thought about Oliver's offer, the risk, the possibility. By morning, she'd made her choice. She called him. I'm in, but I want every detail in writing. No games. Owning the golden fork was like wrestling a storm. The books were a nightmare Carl had been skimming for years, leaving a trail of unpaid vendors and doctored receipts. The staff, loyal but set in their ways, bristled at me as changes. She pushed forward, repainting the walls of warm cream, swapping out stale coffee for a local roast, and adding Ellen's recipes, cornbread peach cobbler, to the menu. She trained Jenny and Carla on a new point of sale system, ignoring their grumbles. Slowly, the diner came alive. Locals returned, drawn by the fresh paint and the buzz of something new. Even out-of-a-towner started showing up, lured by word of mouth, but cracks appeared. Deliveries arrived late or not at all. The walk-in freezer failed 3 times in a month, spoiling inventory. Money vanished from the account. Small sums at first, then thousands. Mia stayed late, poring over invoices, finding payments to companies she'd never heard of. Crescent Holdings, Blue Ridge Imports, Willow Ventures. The names were polished, but the addresses led to P.O. boxes or dead ends. Her guts screamed sabotage. She started asking questions discreetly. Pete, wiping down the grill, mentioned Carl's ties to shady types before he sold out. Jenny overheard a delivery driver muttering about Vincent Kane, Oliver's business partner. Mia had met Vincent once when he'd stopped by the diner to check in on behalf of Hayes Hospitality. His slick suit and colder smile had made her skin crawl like a wolf circling a flock. Dot. One night after closing, Mia found a locked filing cabinet in the back office. She searched for the key, then gave up and pried it open with a crowbar. Inside were ledgers handwritten and meticulous detailing payments to Crescent Holdings, and others hundreds of thousands of dollars funneled through the golden fork. Dates stretched back years long before Mia's time as owner. Her heart pounded. This wasn't mismanagement. This was a crime. She drove to Oliver's downtown office, a glass and steel fortress that made her feel like an intruder. She slammed a copied ledger on his desk. What the hell is Crescent Holdings? Oliver's face strained of color. Where did you get that? Answer me. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's Vincent Kane, my partner. He's not what he seems. Explain, Mia demanded, her voice like iron. Oliver's story came haltingly. Vincent had been with Hayes Hospitality from the start, a brilliant deal maker with a dark side. The Golden Fork, along with other small properties, had been a front for his money laundering schemes, washing cash for clients with ties to organized crime. Oliver had known for years, but looked the other way, convincing himself it was just business. Giving Mia the diner was his attempt to pull it out of Vincent's orbit. To give her a clean start while distancing himself from the mess, Mia's hands shook with rage. You used me. You made me a target. I didn't know he'd come after you. Oliver said, his voice raw. I thought I could keep you out of it. Out of it! Mia laughed, bitter and sharp. I'm neck deep in your lies. She left her mind racing. Vincent's shadow loomed over everything. The diner, her mother's care, her future. She was caught in a war she hadn't started, and the only way out was through. Mia faced a choice that haunted her sleepless nights. She could expose Vincent and Oliver, risking the diner, Ellen's care, and her own safety. Or she could stay quiet, play along, and hope Vincent's schemes didn't destroy her. The decision wasn't easy. Clawed at her, testing her resolve. But Mia Harris wasn't built to bend, she chose to fight. She turned the diner's back office into a war room, working after hours to gather evidence. She photographed the ledgers, recorded conversations with suppliers who hinted at Vincent's strong-armed tactics, and traced payments to offshore accounts using a library computer to avoid detection. She kept her findings in a locked box under her bed, away from the diner's prying eyes. Every creak of the floorboards, every car that lingered in the parking lot, made her pulse race. She was playing a dangerous game, and she knew it. Vincent wasn't blind. He sensed her digging. One night he appeared at the diner after closing, his smile ablaze. You're asking questions you shouldn't. Mia, he said, leaning against the counter. Too close. Walk away. You don't want to know what happens if you don't. Mia met his gaze, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her chest. This is my diner. You don't scare me. Vincent's laugh was low, chilling. You'll learn. The retaliation was swift. The diner's power was cut, leaving customers in the dark. A health inspector arrived with a list of violations. Grease traps, fire codes that Mia knew were fabricated. A delivery truck accidentally rammed the loading dock, costing thousands in repairs. Vincent was tightening the noose, and Mia felt it. She didn't back down. She remembered Sarah Monroe, a local journalist Carla knew from poker nights. Sarah had a reputation for taking down corrupt officials with dogged persistence. Mia met her in a park far from the diner and handed over a flash drive with everything: ledgers, recordings, emails. This could get ugly, Sarah warned, her eyes scanning the files. I'm already an ugly, Mia said. Just make sure it counts. Sarah worked fast. 10 days later, the story broke. Headlines screamed, Hayes Hospitality linked to money-laundering scandal. Vincent Caney was named as the mastermind. His shell companies exposed. His ties to organized crime laid bare. The police raided his office, seizing computers and files. Vincent was arrested, his polished facade crumbling as he was led away in handcuffs. Oliver wasn't unscathed, implicated in the scandal. He cooperated with the authorities, offering testimony against Vincent in exchange for leniency. He admitted his role, knowing about the laundering, but failing to act as regret-heavy, but not enough to erase Mia's betrayal. She'd trusted him, and he'd made her a pawn. The fallout was brutal. Reporters swarmed the Golden Fork, scaring off customers. The diner's accounts were frozen pending investigation. Mia lay awake at night, wondering if she'd saved the diner or destroyed it. Had she fought for justice only to lose everything? Mia refused to let the Golden Fork die. The scandal was a wound, but she saw it as a chance to heal. She called Sarah again, pitching a new story, not about Vincent's crimes, but about the diner's rebirth. Sarah's follow-up piece, Willow Creek's Heart. A waitress's fight for her town hit the local paper and went viral online. It painted Mia as a hero, a small-town woman who'd taken on corruption. And when locals who'd always seen her as one of their own flooded the diner, bringing friends and family out, of-towners came too drawn by the story and the promise of Ellen's peach cobbler. Mia leaned into the momentum. She replaced the flickering neon sign with a hand-painted one commissioned from a local artist who'd lost his job at the factory. The diner's interior transformed warm cream walls, wooden tables, local art showcasing Willow Creek's history. The menu blended Ellen's recipes with modern twists, cornbread-crusted catfish bourbon-infused pecan pie. Jenny's Friday night performances became a draw, her songs about love and resilience packing the booths. Carla, inspired by Mia's fire, quit smoking for good, trading cigarettes for knitting needles and making scarves for the staff. Ellen's health stabilized with better care, funded by the diner's growing profits. Mia moved her to a facility with a garden where Ellen could read poetry under the sun. One afternoon, Ellen pulled Mia close, her voice a whisper. "You've given me more than time, baby. You've given me pride." Mia's tears fell, but she smiled, squeezing her mother's hand. Oliver stayed in the shadows, wiring funds for renovations as a quiet apology. Mia accepted the help, but kept her distance. Trust was a bridge too far, though she saw the man he was trying to become someone who'd made mistakes, but wanted redemption. She didn't forgive, but she didn't hate either. The Golden Fork became Willow Creek's heart. Mia hired locals laid off from the factory, giving them jobs and purpose. She started a scholarship fund in Elon's name, helping kids like Jenny's brother afford college. The diner hosted community nights, book clubs, open mics, even a knitting circle led by Carla. It wasn't just a place to eat. It was a place to belong. One evening, as Mia locked up, she paused under the new sign. Its warm glow steady against the night. She thought about that night with Oliver. How a single act of kindness, helping a drunk stranger into a cab, sparked a chain reaction. She'd been invisible, a waitress scraping by, but now she was a force, a woman who'd rewritten her story and her town's. As she walked home, the stars above Willow Creek blazed brighter than she'd ever seen. The Golden Fork wasn't just a diner anymore. It was a legacy. Mia had saved her mother, her community, and herself. And in doing so, she'd proven that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire that changed.